What's up? Okay. Hopefully this fan is not being picked up. It is 90 something degrees out here. What's happening, everybody? Conspiracy, what's happening? Conspiracy, I didn't forget about you. I didn't forget about you. Martina, hey. Edward Bailey, hey. Pretty Eyes Diva, hey. Lorville, what's happening? Hanlon. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Good morning from eight. Okay, good morning. Good morning. Nice for you to join us. Thank you for hanging out with me because you could be anywhere you in the world right now. So I appreciate that. Thank you. As people file in, let me read the spiel. Morningstar Show, me. Shout out to my producer Cindy Ashby. Find us 24/7, 365 on www.onthewakeupradio.com. All shows are live. Replays on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google, and Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Google Play for the replays. Yeah. Simply Deep, what's happening? Jean-Pierre. Hey, what's going on? Jeline, hey. Jeline, how you doing? How you holding up? You good? Health is good? Let me do something real quick. Copy. Yo, so yeah, tonight we gonna get into this what do I refer to this as? Slave trauma porn is the best way I can describe it. Slave trauma porn. Yeah. Slave trauma porn. Of course, YouTube does not want to send out notifications. Oh, I'm live. Never mind. I stand corrected. There I is. Sandy Newton played the hell out of man. Listen, that girl. Listen, you and me. I was rubbing my temples watching. There's so many things wrong with this movie, and then the overall message and all that good stuff. But I'm gonna get into it. Don't you worry. I'm gonna get into all that this nonsense. Jeez. Yeah, this movie was pretty bad. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. Pin. Okay, here we go. Beloved was like an edgier color purple. Now, I must say I did read the book, but this was decades ago. Okay, this movie came out in '98. I am no fan of Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou. Listen, I'm just gonna say it for what it is. We're talking about old, closeted lesbians that don't like or didn't like black men. Okay, let's just say it for what it is. Women like Toni Morrison and Maya Angelou, old, closeted lesbians that did not like black men. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. The book is a bit different from the movies, but black people don't read like that. So let's cut the bullshit. We're going to talk about this particular movie. This movie is all about, it's a lot of allegory. Okay? This movie also pits who suffered the most, the black woman or the black man. Okay? So throughout this movie, Seta is always trying to one up Paul D's experience, right? Wait, those women you named gave Lena Waithe the blue. Yes. Oh, you can add Janelle Monáe to that as well. You're right. Yeah, Lena Waithe is the bastard love child of all those women. You know what I'm saying? And she's just taking this shit to the nth degree. Alice Walker, I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. These women did not like black men, period. Tawanda, hey, Tawanda. I went to high school with a Tawanda. She's very nice, very nice. Why did they show it? Child, this is nothing but slave horror torture porn. So throughout the movie, Seta is constantly reminding the audience and Paul D of her experiences at Sweet Home. Sweet Home is the former plantation that her and Paul D were workers on. Okay, and my God, so I don't know. Let's get into this shit show. All right, so in the beginning, there's some poltergeist activity, and the dog is being flown around the room, and then the dog is thrown against the wall. Its eyeball is hanging out of its socket. Seta, Oprah Winfrey is like, no big deal. She puts the dog's eye back in its socket and places a splint on its leg. The two sons are terrified. Denver is like, oh my God, right? Because it's a very violent, very angry spirit in this house. So then, I think the sons were named Howard and Bew. And then the two sons, wait. No, Martina, it gets worse. No, don't leave. It gets worse. Meet what's happening. And so then the two sons, they steal some food and they leave. They leave like they're not even teenagers, right? This is like what year is this? 1865, right? The year is 1865 in Cincinnati. Okay? So the two sons leave. These two young preteen black boys leave the house. You never see them again. God knows what happened to these sons. Okay? That was my first clue. And then the poltergeist knocks the mirror off the wall. And Denver says to the spirit, well, what you going to do that for? Okay? Fast forward to 1873. It is 8 years later. Paul D, played by Danny Glover. Hey, hun. Ryan, what's happening? Paul D shows up to Seta's, right? They haven't seen each other since their time at Sweet Home 18 years prior. Okay? That was the last time they saw each other. Seta tells Paul baby Suggs has been dead for 8 years. Baby Suggs is the grandmother. Okay? Baby Suggs is she's not Seta's mother, because Seta's mother's died. Baby Suggs is like the grandmother by default. Okay, she's the old matriarch, right? So then Paul enters the house, and there's a red light, and then he sees images of bloody bodies, and then the door opens up, and he sees a woman holding a baby. He asks Seta, he said, girl, what kind of evil you got in this house? She said, it's not evil, it's just sad. So it seems to me that, no, I'm going to get to that. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Don't do that. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. All right. So apparently Paul D is force sensitive, or he's an empath, right? Because as soon as he walks in, he already knows he's seeing visions and stuff, right? She says, "No, it's not evil, just sad." Paul then asks, "I thought you said baby Suggs died soft." Died soft in those terms, like a peaceful, natural death, not like a death from burning or hanging or stuff like that, right? A soft, natural, peaceful death, right? Seta then responds, "It was her daughter, and the boys ran off before baby Suggs died." Okay. Paul then meets Denver. Denver is played by Kimberly Elise. Denver is very standoffish. Denver has been sheltered in her entire life because Seta has this fear that the evil white man, aka the school teacher, will come back for her. Okay. So Denver has been sheltered, and then also Denver has her own issues with codependency, right? She's had opportunities to leave the house, but for whatever reason, she hasn't. Okay, it's coming. All right. All right, let's continue. So then Paul knew Denver's dad, Haley, from Sweet Home. Denver starts crying about being alone. She says, "Nobody knows that I'm here." Paul recommends to Seta, "Why don't you just move?" Seta says no. The poltergeist then makes its presence known. You hear a baby crying in the background, or it'll make stomping noises upstairs or shake some shit, okay? All right? Seta then tells Paul the day she ran from the plantation while pregnant. So here's the backstory, part of the backstory to Seta. So Seta ran away from Sweet Home the first time, I believe, right? So then she was caught, and then she was beaten while pregnant with Denver. I take that back. She ran away one time, from what I can gather. Okay, so they caught her. So the school teacher is like a Colonel Sanders. He's dressed in white. The two nephews, they beat her, they rape her, and then there's a scene, because she's pregnant, where the sons basically suck all of the milk out of Seta's breast. So there's this scene where Paul and Seta are in the kitchen, and he asks her about her tree. He says, "You got a tree?" So a tree, in those terms, refers to when you got whipped in the back and the keloid's up, and it looks like a tree with the root, and then the shaft, and then the flower. You know, the plumage. It looks like a tree of keloid scars. And then she kept saying, they took my milk. They took my milk. So there's this flashback scene of this pregnant woman with these two white men sucking all the milk out of her breast. I was like, oh my God. So I was just literally just doing this. Like, what the fuck is this? Okay. So then they whipped her with cowhide. And then so it doesn't heal up correctly. Right? So she has all these keloids on her back. She said, "Oh, they hit you with the cowhide." Right? So they're sharing the little moments, you know. Then he goes to kiss her scars on her back, and then they begin to make out. And then Denver, wait. Okay, Paul begins to kiss her scars as the poltergeist makes its presence known. Okay, and then the baby is heard crying, and then then the poltergeist attacks Paul. Okay, so the poltergeist. These niggas are popping fire. Okay, these ain't niggas. These are Mexicans. These Mexicans are shooting off fireworks. And ain't even nowhere close to 4th of July. Anywho, so as Paul and Seta begin to make out, the poltergeist makes its presence known, and then the poltergeist attacks Paul. Okay? So then the first It launches, it throws something at Paul's head, like a table, a little stool, and then the table from the kitchen moves towards Paul, and Paul grabs the table, and he says, I got you. You're not, you can't scare me. You want to fight? I'll fight you. I'll fight you. So he pushes the table back, and then Poltergeist calls it a draw. Okay? So then while Denver's downstairs cleaning up the mess, Paul D and Seta are upstairs having sex, and then Paul has a nightmare about his experiences at Sweet Home. Okay, so then Paul asks to stay with Seta. Right? He said, "I look for a job. You want some help around here? I want to be here with you. It's been so long. Blah 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 blah." Okay, Seta is determined to not let the slave master get Denver. Okay, time goes by. There's no more poltergeist activity. Okay? So then, at the riverbank, a woman in black emerges from the river, and she's covered in insects and butterflies. Paul and Seta and then Denver have a family time. They go to the carnival. The woman in black shows up at Seta's house, covered in butterflies. Upon seeing the woman, Seta immediately runs to the side of the house to urinate in her yard. So now I'm like, okay, you see this woman you've never seen before, you don't know who she is, and you immediately go piss. So I'm thinking this is an allegorical thing for the water being broken. Okay, it took a while to me to figure out. Okay, you knew. Okay, how can I say this? I didn't really know of the backstory of Beloved. Okay, but some told me this was from a past life of some sort. Okay, until I figured out who she was. But the pissing in the yard, allegorical statement, reference to the water breaking, the baby's coming. Okay, so now the baby is here. All right. So then, here's some water breaking. Okay, they take the woman in. She spells her name, Beloved. Paul notices her feet are not walking feet. Okay, her feet are very clean, almost manicured. And Paul D says she ain't got walking feet, meaning back then pretty much everybody walked everywhere they had to go. Your feet would be just kind of busted up and rough. Your shoes would be worn. She had on brand new shoes, brand new black dress, and her feet are clean as a whistle. Okay, so Paul's already picking up on some bullshit. Like I said, it doesn't outright say that Paul's an empath, but clearly he has empathic abilities, okay? So then Denver takes to Beloved. Beloved is mentally delayed. Paul D does not like Beloved off the top, okay? Beloved at dinner begins to ask Seta questions about her background, okay? Denver becomes jealous at some of Seta's answers, because these are things that even Denver didn't know about her mother. Okay, Seta then talks about her mother's mark of a circle and a cross. She was branded. So she tells Beloved and Denver the story of how she knew who her mother was, because her mother says, "Hey, if you ever forget my face, you see this mark. That means you know I'm your mother. It's a circle and a cross." All right. She was branded. So then, as Seta's telling the story, she's like, you know what? I didn't know what that meant until I got my own mark. Meaning she too was branded. So then she understood what her mother was talking about. Okay? All right. And then more backstory. Seta's mother was hung. She's possibly of Haitian origin, because there's a lady, right before her mother's being hung, right? There's the Haitian lady. She's missing her right arm. And she's talking to little Seta, saying, many men have been with your mother, but she only put her arms around your father. I was like, ooh, that's deep. I like that. Okay. I was like, okay. I'm with it. Right. And so then, wait, hold up. I'm just be patient, brother. Be patient. Toni Morrison books are hard to read by itself, and then to make a movie out of one. Oh yeah, Jeez. Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. So then at dinner, so then Seta, so they're all at dinner. This is taking place at dinner. So then Beloved asks Paul D, about his background. He says, I ain't got no people. Okay. So then Paul D asks, well, where you from? Where your people from? And she says she has no family. Mind you, she's like a retarded, in the mind of a retarded 2-year-old. Okay. So then Beloved says a woman at the bridge told her about Seta's house. Okay. So obviously she was already at the crossing over into this dimensional plane. So she was in the ether somewhere, and the woman at the bridge, more than likely, like crossing the river Styx, with the ferryman kind of tells you where to go once you're at the portal breach, right? Told her to go to Seta's house. That's who you're looking for. Okay. So then Paul D and then Denver begin to ask her about her new dress and who tied her shoes. So then Beloved fakes like she's choking on food to kind of to skirt the answering the question. All right. So then okay, so then Beloved questions Seta about herself. Right? Seta tells Paul Haley, Seta's husband, had left and ran off, leaving her to be caught, raped, and beaten by the school teacher and his nephews. Paul tells Seta he has seen Haley after Seta ran off. Haley had seen what happened to Seta and became so traumatized that he lost his mind. So that's why Haley never met or never went after or came for Seta after she left the plantation, after she ran away. Okay? All right. So then, of course, this is all news to Seta. She's having problems, an issue trying to, digest or process what Paul D just told her. Okay. So then next, while playing with Beloved, Denver. Oh, okay. So Denver and Beloved are playing. Denver tells her she can see dead. She remembers seeing dead people. Okay, and she remembers seeing Seta's diamonds. And these diamonds are a key part. So there's a scene where she was given diamond earrings. I'll cut back to this further down the road. But Seta was given diamond earrings as a wedding heirloom gift. This is when the baby, still alive. Okay, so they immediately, Denver recognizes this is the dead child, her dead sister reincarnated. Okay, she says Seta's diamonds she remembers seeing the diamonds in the water, and that Seta left her behind. Okay, Denver then knows she's reincarnated as sister. Beloved tells Denver that Seta is the one she has to have. So obviously, Beloved is a spirit of vengeance. Okay, Beloved did not have a peaceful transition. Okay, died a very tragic, a hard death. Right, so obviously, Beloved has come back for vengeance and to take either Seta with her or pieces of her with her, or feed off of her. So basically, she's a parasitic spirit of vengeance, and we'll get into all this. Okay, all right. So then Beloved asked Denver how Seta made her and the boys. So she's asking Denver how were the children created. It's a sexual question. Now, mind you, this is a vengeful spirit in the body of a mentally delayed child asking about how to create children. So there's a flashback scene. Seta is found and rescued by a white woman. Her name is Amy Denver. So Denver is named after the white woman that found and helped deliver Denver and rescued her from when she ran away from Sweet Home. Okay? So then at the boat, before they cross over the river, Seta's water breaks, and then she delivers Denver. Okay? During the flashback scene, Seta receives diamond earrings as a wedding gift. She has all of her kids with baby Suge, and she's still waiting for Haley. Haley, in his last act before he lost his mind, he bought baby Suge's freedom. The house that baby Suge basically left to Seta was given to baby Suge by a white man. Okay? Seta takes Beloved and Denver to pay tribute to baby Suge's, where she would have congregation. There's a rock in the middle of the woods, and this is where baby Suge would have congregation for all the black plantation owners, or the workers. Okay? So then Seta tells Denver her father ain't never coming back. Okay? Because all this time, Haley thinks her dad's going to come back for her. All right? Beloved then walks in. Later on, Beloved walks in on Paul and Seta having sex. Beloved has a fit. Now, remind you, every time Paul and Seta would engage in whatever, the spirit would get angry. Okay? Same thing applies here. Okay? There's a scene where Beloved and Denver are at the river. Beloved has no reflection. There's no reflection in the water. You can see Denver's, but you do not see you do not see Beloved's reflection in the water. So that at that point you should figure out this woman's is a vengeful spirit. Okay. So then Beloved sees two turtles mating, and then she has the idea to mate with Paul. Okay? She becomes aroused watching the turtles mate, and then she lifts her neck up and you see the slit on her neck. Okay? After dinner, Beloved casts a spell on Paul D, almost like a love spell. Okay? Paul D then wakes up in baby Suge's bed, and he says he feels like he's being moved from place to place. So what Beloved did was basically cast a spell on Paul D. And she specifically moves Paul D further and further away from Seta's bedroom into the outhouse. So it goes from Seta's bedroom to baby Suge's room to eventually that Paul D is sleeping out in the outhouse. Okay? So she can isolate him and have her to himself. All right? Okay. Later that night, Beloved seduces Paul. And then this is the hands down the most disturbing scene in any slave movie I've ever had the dissatisfaction of ever watching. So then Paul's like, "Get out of here, girl." So then Beloved lifts up her skirt, and she said, touch me on my inside part and call my name. I was like, what the fuck is this movie? She kept telling him, touch me on my inside part. Say my name. That's what the fuck he said. What the fuck? What? So Paul D turns his back to her, and she jumps on top of him, and she's like, "Say my name, say my name." So then, unfortunately, Paul D gives in, and he's like, "Beloved, beloved, beloved." So then Denver wakes up. She looks out her window down at the outhouse. the red light is glowing, so she knows it's poltergeist activity, and she can hear Paul screaming beloved's name. Okay. Wait, don't be mad at me. I didn't write this shit. Touch me on my inside part. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So then the next day, Paul goes to meet Seta at work, and Paul's trying to practice his script to tell Seta what happened. Okay, because Paul understood what happened. He wasn't under he doesn't have control of his full faculties, and he wanted to confess what happened to Seta. Okay, so then he tells her, well, in his speech, he's like, she fixed him. He said that beloved she fixed me, right? She cursed him, hexed him, okay? Put a spell on him, all right? So then once Seta arrives, he's like, oh, hey, girl. Then he doesn't tell her, but he says, hey, I want you with a baby. And she's like, man, I'm too old, right? So they share a laugh all the way home. They're laughing and playing around and, frolicking, whatever, because, he's in love with her and she's and is enjoying the attention, whatever. So they're like a frisky old couple. Ew. Okay. So then the next day at work, Paul is in good spirits. He shares with his coworkers that he's having a family with Seta. One of the old heads that knew what happened to Seta tells Paul what really happened. Okay. And there's one scene because he's a pig farmer. There's one scene when Paul was like, hey, I've been bought and sold 5 times. I'm a free man. Can nobody stop me? I'm the master of my universe. I can accomplish anything I want to accomplish. Okay. And there's one hating ass coworker. He's like, man, look, it's the white man's world, and you can't do whatever you want. It's the white man's world. Okay. Okay. So then moving on, the old head pulls out a newspaper clipping of Seta of what happened. Paul's illiterate. He can't read the newspaper clipping, but there's a picture of Seta and the white man, the school teacher. And Paul's like, well, it could look like Seta around the eyes, but what does this mean? Okay. Paul returns back home. Paul gives Seta the newspaper clipping. Seta begins to explain her mindset, her reasonings for doing what she did. She was afraid the school teacher was going to come back for her and the children. There's a flashback scene. Baby Shug is preaching to the choir. She talks about loving your flesh. She says, love your hands. She says, kiss your hands. Put them up in the sky. Okay? So Baby Shug is that wizened old owl, right? That has to convince the people to love themselves, because she's like, they're not gonna love your skin, they're not gonna love your hands. You love your skin, you love your hands. All right, it was a dope little moment. Okay, so everyone's gonna listen to the old mama. Everybody's gonna listen to Big Mama, because she's basically Big Mama. All right. So then when Seta had ran away, she was free for 28 days. On the 29th day, school teacher and the nephews found her. Seta then grabs the newborn, grabs Denver, tells the 2 sons to run back in the house. As school teacher and the nephews walk into the house, Seta had already slit the baby's throat, and the 2 boys are seemingly dead from an axe wound to the head. And she's about to bash Denver's head against the wall until one of the older men caught the baby mid-swing. School teacher was so disturbed by what he saw. He spit at Seta and called her an animal. Baby Shug walks in. She's like distraught, right? And it's a pretty bad scene. It's a pretty bad scene. So then school teacher leaves. Paul tells Seta the kid's fate was worse and what she did was wrong. Paul tells her, your love is too thick. Paul leaves Seta. He moves out, he leaves. Okay? Later on that day, Beloved begins to sing a song that only Seta knows. And then Seta sees the cut on Beloved's throat and knows that it's her reincarnated daughter come back, that came back to her. Okay? The next morning, Seta had a vision of her sons and then is later fired from her job for being late. She thought the sons came back home, but it was a vision. The sons never come back. Nobody knows what happened to Harold and Brew. Okay? They never return. Ever. Ever. All right? Seta then passes by Beloved's headstone. You see the opening shot is a tombstone marked Beloved. On the way back home from work from being fired, she passes by that same tombstone. Okay? Seta then heads into town, and the townsfolk are in disbelief. Now, mind you, Seta is a recluse. She never comes into town. So, and everybody knows the backstory. All right? So, the people are like, oh my God, it's her, the baby killer, basically. Okay? So, everyone's like flipping out that she's in town. Seta goes into town to buy what like shit for a birthday party. You know, string shits, ornaments, decorations, party favors. Okay? So they basically have a birthday party for Beloved. Beloved gets a big piece of cake. Denver gets a small piece of cake. Denver once again becomes jealous. She gives her a look like, why is this bitch getting a big ass piece of cake? Okay? Denver begins to resent Beloved. Beloved asks Seta why she cut her, why she left her. Beloved then becomes destructive. And then insects are heard buzzing. And then she begins to scratch her throat. And then the insects show up inside the house. Okay? Beloved has become the living embodiment of the poltergeist. She then rips Baby Shug's handmade quilt. So she's in Baby Shug's room. Denver's like, get your hands off that quilt. And then Beloved just rips Baby Shug's quilt in half. Okay, so this whole time, Beloved's eating up all the food. She's destroying furniture. You know what I'm saying? She's created this parasitic environment. She's feeding off of Seta's life force to a certain extent. And Denver is caught in the middle. So this forces Denver to make a decision. Now here we go. After the quilt has been ripped, you hear Baby Shug talking to Denver. And then there's Baby Shug, and not even in the vision. Like, so Baby Shug came back to talk to Denver and tell Denver, you know, girl, why'd you stop going to etiquette school? Why don't you go back to work for Miss Lady? You can't live here your whole life. You have to get out and live your life. So at that, and then Baby Shug gives her a hug, and I'm sitting here like, oh my God, don't lose it, man, don't lose it, right? And then so Denver decides to go into Cincinnati to go see the Baldwins. No, she goes to see Miss Lady to finish her etiquette class and to work to get extra food because Beloved is either destroying or eating all the damn food. Okay? Beloved is basically a parasite at this point. Okay? Okay. Denver finally leaves, go back to Miss Lady. Seta has now become an invalid. Seta doesn't do shit. She just sits in a chair. Okay? And Denver becomes the lady of the house. She cooks, she cleans, she goes to work. My man Conspiracy, thank you, bro. Appreciate it. The townsfolk begin to deliver food to Seta's place to help feed them. The townsfolk here's the townsfolk sin. This is why the old ladies get involved, because they all knew school teacher was coming. They didn't warn Seta. That's their sin. Okay? Once again, the townsfolk, mainly the women, their sin was they did not alert Seta that the school teacher was coming those many years prior. So now out of guilt and out of penance, they send her food. Okay? Let's continue. Go back to work. Denver goes to Cincinnati to look for work. She stops by the Baldwins. The Baldwins, the white folk are the ones that gave Baby Suge the house that Seta and Denver live in. Okay, those people. Okay, the lady of the house, the older black woman, says, "Oh, you Baby Suge kin. Well, girl, come on in. We're gonna get you. We're gonna take care of you. You can work here at night, right? While she does what she does in the day, she'll come be a caretaker at night for the Baldwins. Okay." And then there's a discussion. All the town, the old heads, the old ladies of the town folk, they all come to grips, and they all realize that Beloved is Seta's dead reincarnated baby. Now, mind you, these are Christian folk. But it took a few of them to wrap their heads around the reincarnation thing, and that this is the dead baby come back to life. Okay, old girl from Soul Food, Big Mama, she's the head of the ladies' town folk. Okay, all right. So then Denver returns home. Seta is having a psychotic break. She's chipping ice with an ice pick. Mr. Bowman is coming to pick Denver up for work. The ladies of the town, the Christian ladies, the sisters, the old heads, they come to Seta's. They've come to exorcise Beloved out the house. They begin to sing hymns outside the house, right? And then, while Seta's picking the ice, she hears them singing. So then she grabs Beloved's hand and takes Beloved outside to show that she's pregnant. The ladies are like, oh my, they get to weeping and hollering like, oh Lord, no, Lord, what is this? La, 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 la. And they get to singing again, right? they rebuke her and they get to singing again, right? These are old prayerful women, all right? You can't tell them shit about Jesus. And they're sitting there, they're singing and Jesus can get him, Jesus. You can't tell these women shit, all right? So then Mr. Baldwin shows up, dressed in white, looking just like school teacher, whatever, how many years prior. So then Seta sees the man and finally snaps. And she goes after Mr. Baldwin with the ice pick. The old women grab her, surround her. Denver grabs the ice pick. They begin to pray over Seta. And then Beloved, standing in the doorway, naked and pregnant, yells and then disappears, leaving behind Baby Suge's quilt on the porch. Okay? And then the butterflies fly away. Some time has passed. Paul runs to Denver. Denver now has two jobs. She works with the Baldwins at night, and then she works in a factory. She tells him Seta hasn't left the bed. So at this point, Seta is a complete bedridden invalid. Whatever life force she had in her, Beloved took a good chunk of it with her. So basically, her will to live is pretty much gone. All right. Then she's been in the bed since the exorcism. So then she throws a shot at him. She sneak disses Paul, saying, "Well, you knew Beloved better than any of us." Because Paul is like, "Was that really her? Was it really her?" And she's like, "Well, you should know. You know she was real or not." Okay? So she sneak dissed him. So then Paul returns to see Seta. She's now bedridden. Seta tells Paul, she left me again. She was her best thing. And then Paul tells her, he says, "No, you are your own best thing." And then Paul says, I'm gonna stay to help take care of you. Right? And then another flashback. Baby Suge is giving another speech to the plantation workers. End scene. Oh my God. This was a mentally draining movie. No, I say that shit a lot. This was a really, 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 really mentally draining movie. And old folks praised this movie. The movie bombed. This movie had a budget. Okay, mind you, this is 1989. 1989. This movie had a budget of $80 million. Okay, 1989. We're not talking an action movie, not science fiction. This movie had a budget of $80 million. This movie bombed at the box office. It only made $22 million. But the point being made here is they don't care if they make a loss. This movie is ingrained in a lot of black folks' heads and psyche. The mission has been completed. They're willing to spend this type of money just so it can be in your subconscious. To them, it's a win. This movie received 2 Oscar nominations for Best Costume, and then at one point they said this was Danny Glover's and Oprah's best performances ever. Thandie Newton became a breakout star because of this movie. $80 million well spent. This movie lives in the psyche of a lot of people, a lot of old heads with this movie, okay? So, no. The budget for this $80 million. I shit you not. Produced by Jonathan Demme. So Jonathan Demme is the brother of Ted Demme. Ted Demme, MTV, Yo MTV Raps, MTV producer, child molester, right? That's his brother. So, yeah, that was Beloved. I don't know about the true story thing. All I know is it's based off Toni Morrison's book, and however you feel about Toni Morrison is, I can't stand them old heifers. None of her ilk. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to get into the comments, but yeah. Listen, it was money well spent, because you ask a lot of cats that's in their early 50s, late 40s about Beloved, you get a reaction. They'll tell you know what I'm saying? So it worked. I mean, so wait, you've never seen this movie? Now you want to see it? I mean, yeah, it's yeah, it's good that you will watch this now as an older adult, as opposed to watching this when we first, was it 1989? I was what? How old was I in 89? Okay, I graduated in 93. So I'd have been 18, 17. Yeah, I'd have been preteen, teenager when this shit came out. So for all those young adults that went to go see this, and then of course your mama dragged you, you know what I'm saying, your aunties dragged you, they went to go, they all this shit, all those old slave movies. What was the other one? The Color Purple. You know what I'm saying? Like, that whole vein of those slave movies, those feminist centered theme movies. And throughout this movie, and there's one scene in this movie where Paul and Seta, right? She says, well, that's just one less man, some man to hurt me, or one more ain't gonna hurt me. And then Paul says, well, I ain't too. Right? So there's always this back and forth, like, you don't know what I went through at Sweet Home. You don't know what it is to be a black woman walking down the street worried about getting snatched up. So that whole shit, like, black women went through more in slavery than the black man. Like, last time I checked, black women didn't have any dicks to get cut off. But hey, it is what it is. So they sowing seeds of division about who went through more trauma, the black man or the black woman. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I said it was 98. 98 or 80. Oh, I kept saying 89. My bad. 98. 98. Okay. My bad. Couldn't get through it. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was extremely bad. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oprah is another man hater. right? She's a closeted man hater. Gail, same way. So now you have, these man hating ass lesbians, these black lesbians in Hollywood, these old heads, and now they're transferring that shit, passing the torch on to Lena Waithe, Janelle Monáe, Tessa Thompson. Don't be fooled by Tessa Thompson. Tessa Thompson is another man hating ass lesbian feminist. The African chick, the British chick, the little thick one who played she played Aretha. Cynthia Erivo is another lesbian man hating ass feminist. So they got this generation covered. And because a lot of these black people, you watch The Shy, you watch anything produced by Lena Waithe, we watch that bullshit Amazon series that she put out, right? So Ava DuVernay is another one. Yeah. Right? So I don't know what to tell y'all. Like, they got all the bases covered. And unfortunately, our people still support our own demise. So, you can only blame white folk for so much at this point. That's just how I feel about it. But, it is what it is. Shy is trash. But yet, we're in season 4. Right? I see niggas on YouTube singing his praises. You got an actual trans actor, and you got the black man playing its love interest. Like, our people are screwed up. Our people are screwed the fuck up. So, it is what it is. If not, I'm a end this. If not anything else, because I got to get back to the gym for workout number 2. What about Glory? What's her last name? I don't know who that is. I have no idea who that is. Yeah, the little girl from Blackish. They're gonna turn her out pretty soon. If she ain't already, they've been touching on her and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Yeah, I ain't seen Donnie Darko in a minute. I have to go back and watch that again. Now, like all those old movies, I have to go back and watch with a fresh set of eyes. So, yeah. What'd you say? The Shy on some other shit. The whole story is a black Twitter think piece. It's trash, man. It's trash, but black folk eat that shit up. So it is what it is. I'm gonna get out of here. Thank everybody for hanging out. Oh, yo, Reese, Conspiracy, War Rated Mindset. Thank you guys for the super chats. If not anything else, I'm gonna end this. If anything you guys want to discuss or touch on real quick. If not, I'm gonna end this real quick. I've seen episodes up to 4. I mean, it's cool. Black Samurai saved a little Asian girl. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool. So, all right. With that being said, if you don't mind, hit the like button on your way out, and I will see you. Oh, yeah, for main channel, I got a strike for the interview I did with Form Runner, so they on my ass. So yeah. With that being said, y'all have a good night. Peace.